Hello and welcome to Victoriana. It's the beginning of March. We've actually got some sunshine and I'm stock taking at the moment, which is one of the things that I seem to spend my entire life doing in March and April. We produce lots and lots of things in very, very small batches. So here we're looking at some first of the young veg for the year. They've just come up into the unheated house where they're going to spend a couple of weeks or so, and then they'll be going outside to harden off. Because obviously everything we send out we like to have fully hardened off, so it's gone from warm to cooler, and then, as I say, it will disappear outside before we actually get round to dispatching the things out. So it's a little bit of a nightmare time for us. We're very, very busy, got lots of production going on everywhere. Still be nice if we could have a bit more dry weather, but at least the wind has finally finished blowing, or hopefully it has. So I'll give you a quick run around the nursery. So here in the top house, we're a lot more full than we'd like to be. Obviously with all the rain that we've had, and it's just gone on and on and on, a big concern for all these smaller plants and some of the container stuff as well is the waterlogging. So we've actually been running the top house here with the vents open when we can, obviously because the wind's been an issue too, but really just using it to keep the worst of the weather and stopping things waterlogging. But now things seem to be drying up slowly. It's time and all hands on deck to get this lot moved outside as soon as we can. So as I say, this is pretty empty, and over the next couple of weeks this is where most of everything from the top house will be ending up. As you can see, we're still very, very wet underfoot everywhere, and over there, just starting to be built, is the brassica cage. People who have followed us in previous years will know that we have huge problems with pigeons here, and on our young brassicas we've had a lot of problems. We had a smaller cage and then the pigeons learnt they could stand on top of it and squash it down and then eat the brassicas through the cage. So this year Simon is putting us up a nice big walking cage, and there'd have to be pretty fat pigeons to squash down the mesh enough to eat the brassicas this time. Being the beginning of March, we've still got plenty of bare root fruit, obviously all strawed in. We're pleased that we got the bulk of our liftings done when we did, because the ground has just gradually turned to chocolate soup, and if we hadn't have done this, I don't think we'd have got much more out after Christmas basically. So everything's all strawed in and we're drawing from that, which makes our dispatches very, very easy. The excessive wet weather has also meant that we've started containerising fruit, so this is fruit for the coming sort of late spring and into the summer and autumn season, and obviously we've still got a long way to go on that, but yeah, so it has been wet, has been windy, but in some ways it's a bonus because we've been able to get on with some of the jobs that we struggle with a bit later on. So up here in the veg tunnel, all sorts of things going on. We've got some salad leaves that are starting to come to an end now. We've also got some Douce Provence peas coming along, some broad beans that won't be far behind, some spinach and carrots right down the far end, and then of course we've got things like our asparagus in tubs, which will give us our early asparagus, and similarly batches of various strawberries, and of course we've also got some raspberries in tubs. So it's not chocker in here, but there's quite a bit going on, and just shows that little extra protection from the tunnel unheated is perfect for these sort of bits and pieces. One thing we do have a slight concern of is, of course, this year we're growing one or two more varieties of chilli and tomato. We're going to end up with something like 70-75 varieties of tomato, and similar on the chilli side as well. So we're not quite sure how we're going to get them all fitted in here, and one thought at the moment is that we might actually end up either having to extend this or put a bigger one up in its place. We'll have to see where we go on that. Up here on the veg garden, we are feeling like we are now a little bit behind. There's laying water on an awful lot of it, just as many other people are suffering with, and accordingly we haven't actually done any digging over yet. We've moved some compost and things over to dig in, but that's as far as we've got. So Yeah, we are feeling we are now behind out here, but hopefully if it does stop raining, and it has just started again, we might actually be able to catch up and get some digging overdone. One sad thing is that the storms of the winter have managed to destroy an awful lot of the herb beds. They were getting a bit old and tatty anyway, but they really are falling apart now over there. So that's another job for Simon that we've got in place. And hopefully as soon as he's finished the brassica cage, he can crack on and get on with those. And it's a similar story really out here on the beds. We're getting stuff moved out, tidying the beds as we can, but once again this year we're just a little bit behind, because every time we come out here it starts to rain, as it is now. So yeah, we're getting through the shrubs. We've got quite a lot of soft fruit that we've got sorted out and tidied up now. So we will get there. It's just when we're not quite sure. And down here on the flower area is again same of the same. The bits and pieces we put in the autumn have struggled on and are doing remarkably well, considering how long they've sat underwater and how wet and horrible it really is. But obviously it's not quite as cheerful down here as we'd hoped, and I guess it won't be long before we start thinking about moving some of the bits and pieces around. But sad one that really, hasn't given the display we'd hoped for, but just literally have to blame it on the weather. So I'll finish off in the prop, which obviously at this time of year is probably one of the busiest parts of the nursery. Currently we're pricking out tomatoes. Beds are filling up fast, lots and lots of seed being sown and running through on the heat and then being pricked out. So yeah, really busy area at the moment. All the chilies are now done. As I say, tomatoes are virtually all pricked out now, or at least the first batches, and quite a lot of the pretties as well. But yeah, so that's it for the beginning of March, and as I say, we'll just crack on with everything we've got to do.